Okay, so before I start dodging and burning, there are two things that I want to mention. And one of those is the zoom level. You don't want to be dodging and burning at this zoom level. You don't want to be dodging 200% zoom in because it's just, you're never going to finish dodging and burning at this zoom. And nobody's going to be looking at your image at this distance. So find a zoom level that works for you, that is not too close, not too far away. Yeah, so that's very important because you don't want to be dodging so close. It's just a waste of time. So find a zoom level that just, looks not too far, not too close. Just try with different zoom levels. And that's gonna depend upon different things: the resolution of your screen, the size of your screen, and so you'll have to find a zoom level that works for your specific equipment or setup. So in my case, I think for this image, a 50% zoom level, it's fine. Also, the crop on your image is going to, also affect the zoom level that you use and the size image of your file, I believe, as well. So find a zoom level that is just not too far, not too close. And also, I'm gonna be using my tool presets for this dodging and burning. I have different tool presets. There's nothing special about this. It's just, for example, the one that I use the most is a regular brush with 6% opacity and 100% flow. I do not use flow. I just, set it at 100%. I do not work with flow. I only work with opacity. And usually I work at 6%. I also work with a small size brush to be able to get to those details, and I'm constantly changing the size of the brush with the bracket keys. So I saved the brush that I use as a tool preset. And I think the only thing that this brush has is a little bit of transfer applied to it. Everything else is off. This one has a transfer set of 50% minimum, and the control is set at pen pressure. So I guess, with these settings, it means that depending on the amount of pressure that I put on the pen, it's going to work a 6% opacity or a 50% of that 6% opacity. So it's something that you can always play with, play with different settings. I just don't like everything else. I just like transfer a little bit with 50% of the opacity. And there's nothing else about it. It's just a regular brush. So this is the one that I'm going to be painting all over, over this inverted layer mask. And yeah, so let's do it. So I'm going to turn on my help layer right now so we can see the differences in luminosity clearer. Alright, so as you can see, there's a bright spot here, and I'm burning to be able to remove it. And there's some dark patches that I want to get rid of. So I'm constantly changing between the burning layer and the dodging layer, sort of like picking the right color from if it was a color swatch, it's like picking the right color. And something that I use, which I think is very important, is to go around the image Do not stay in one specific one specific place. I think I mentioned that before. Staying in one single place, it's counterproductive because you sort of lose perspective of the whole image, so you tend to overdo it sometimes. So it's better to go around the image and move around the image and touch in different places, burn in different places. Now it's up to you how far you want to take the touching and burning. You can leave it very lightly, or you can really go for it and make it as perfect as you want. That's going to depend on you. I tend to try to do it as natural as possible, not to overdo it too much. And it all comes from practicing, really. The more you do it, the better you get at it, and the better you understand how far you want to take it. I think in the beginning it's very easy to overdo it, very easy to remove every single detail. And you want to avoid that, but at the same time, it all comes from practice. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'm not gonna be 100% perfect because I don't want to say too long, and I really want to show you a result as quickly as possible. So right now I'm gonna be doing it as fast as I can so you can see the results more quickly. Okay, so I'm changing the size of the brush to be able to get to those small details. There you go. Okay, so let's see what we've done so far. And let's see it without the eye help. As you can see, we sort of improve the shape of how the light is showing up on the skin and making it smoother. We're removing those hard transitions between the shadows and the highlights and making it look smoother. That's the purpose of touching and burning. So I'm going to continue applying it to the whole image. Now remember, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm being a little faster than I would normally do it, just so I can show you faster results. Now, something that I have to mention is shape. It's very important not to remove the shape of the face. And that's something that also comes from practice. And with shape, I mean the features on the face, or the, how would you call it, fractions on the face of someone. If you remove every single highlight and every single shadow, you end up with a very flat surface. So you're gonna end up with a flat face. So it's very important to respect the amount of highlights and shadows that create the shape of the face. For example, in the cheekbone, there's an amount of highlight that creates the cheekbone, and there's an amount of shadow that sort of create the dimension of the cheekbone. So if you remove all these shadow, you're essentially changing the shape of the face, because you're removing the amount of shadow that is creating the dimension of the cheekbone. So it's very important to respect the shape, and that's something that definitely comes from practice. You can always get away with a little bit of change, but not altering completely the shape. Especially with headshots, because you want people to look as they are. You don't want to change their appearance. You want people to recognize themselves in their own image. So it's very important not to change the shape of the face too much. One of the things that people tend to ask about dodging and burning is, how do I make it faster? And there's not really a way to make it faster. It's just a very time consuming process. And if you want to, be able to get the best results from dodging and burning, you have to be patient and to, take the time to do it. There's no shortcut for it. There's no another way to do it. It's just, the way that it's done. And it's very time consuming. Okay, so this image is looking pretty good. This is how far I've gone. And yeah, we're gonna continue. There's some spots here that needs to be removed. So as I mentioned, I go around, on dodging and burning on different areas. I do not stay in one particular place too long. So that results in me dodging and burning, probably like 3 times in the same area at different times.